All right, we're here down in the basement,
We are.
the green room that's more brown,
That's right.
at Dukes Indy here in Indianapolis. Jesse Daniels with me today.
Man.
We're gonna chit chat. Thank you for being on. By
Absolutely,
the way.
man. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
Glad we could catch up.
Yeah. Before we begin, though, I will like to say thanks to everyone that's been supporting the show and the podcast. We are definitely on the rise. I've noticed the support's getting bigger. Got a Patreon page now, and people are following that.
That's awesome.
So, things are looking good. So, keep
Killer.
it going. And, like I said, appreciate the support. So, Jesse, got a big show tonight?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it tonight.
Yeah,
It's gonna be fun.
last time you were here was just before the whole, I don't even want to say the word, but COVID hit.
Yeah.
And as you sold the place out and blew the doors off. I mean, it was a great night, great show.
Thank you, man. We had a great time. We had a really good time at that show, and this place is so special. Dukes is such a special venue that we kind of cemented in my mind as one of those favorite venues. That we've played, one of those places that I just remember as being really fun. So I've been looking forward to this show for quite a while. So
Yeah.
tonight's going to be cool.
And that's cool to hear because, a guy like me I travel around and do a little bit, but you've really traveled and you've played a lot of venues and been a lot of places.
Oh,
I just
definitely.
wonder how many types of little honky-tonks like this are out there still, like True Blue.
Right.
I mean, how many do you think?
They're sprinkled around the country. I think, it kind of depends on... It depends on the region and the
Exactly.
type of place it is. Where I grew up out on the West Coast, there's a lot of places that are just old, biker bars, like old dive bar type biker bars, and places that, they'll have country bands in, classic rock cover bands. I grew up watching my dad play in bands like that, country, blues, rock and roll bands, in those little places, and they're not quite as cool as Dukes is as far as like really catering to like the artists and having like a built-in thing where they have good country music come through, but they are I feel like they still exist. They're kind of a dying thing, but they're still out there from what I've seen.
Yeah.
But that's why this place is special, I think, is because they really do get great acts through here, and you just walk in and it feels good.
Yes, it does.
Inside
Feels
the
like
hall.
home.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you start thinking, okay, east of the Mississippi, north of the Mason-Dixon,
Mhm.
like there's not too many of these.
Sure,
you know
sure.
what I mean? So it's a little slice of heaven here for home for me, anyway.
That's awesome.
So let's back up. I gotta hear the full story, at least a little bit of it. Like, so where are you from originally? What music were you listening to? The influences to help build who you are today. Like,
You got it, man. I got distracted by those cheese fries or
oh yeah,
whatever it
they
was.
look
you
good.
brought over. They
Those
look-
are mine. She was sneaking them.
Oh,
in
they
the
look
side.
they look very good. By the way, to everybody who can't see them, they look delicious. Yeah, I grew up in a small town called Ben Lomond, California. That's on the Central Coast, and it's close to Santa Cruz. It's just up Highway 9 from Santa Cruz, about 15, 20 minutes. Just kind of a small mountain community that's kind of in the San Lorenzo Valley. There's a few different communities that are up there. There's Felton, Ben Lomond, Brookdale, Boulder Creek, and a couple others. And that area that I grew up, that's where I was telling you the bar that I grew up watching my dad playing. One of them was Hemflings. I kind of grew up there watching a lot of other bands play, and that's how I got into music. Really, in that area, there was just kind of a big music culture, and it wasn't always country music. Sometimes it was, like I said, rock and roll, blues. There's a lot of hippie. It was like hippies and rednecks. It was kind of a weird mixture of that. So there's a lot of like Grateful Dead stuff going on too, and just kind of got influenced by seeing my dad play, seeing other people, always being in those places, and I always wanted to be on stage. And so I started playing drums. I got into playing punk rock because that was the fastest, most aggressive music that I had found that kind of matched where I was at. And I wanted to do something different than my dad was doing, and then the stuff that I had seen. And so I got into playing punk rock, and I started playing in my dad's band here and there. I'd fill in for them when they needed a drummer. I played in my own bands, and kind of skipping over all the tough years, I got into drugs. Got really into drugs, started hanging out with, just kind of classic story of hanging out with all the wrong types of people, and then just getting really down into it to the point where it was just, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It was became a lifestyle after a while, and it was very hard to get out for a lot of years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But once I got out all that, I was kind of looking to get back into music, and country music is really what was my saving grace, as far as like kind of getting my life back together and keeping me sober. Oddly enough, country music keeping me sober.
How many drinking songs are out there?
Yeah, exactly. People always kind of laugh at that, but for me, it's like it's kind of a cathartic, thing to be able to sing about those things and write those songs, and so that's how I got into playing country music. I always loved it, always wanted to do it, and then decided, I'm tired of being on the drums back behind the band. I want to be up front, and I want to write songs and do this, and so I just started working on it, and here we are these years later. I think that was about 2014 that I really seriously was like, I'm gonna start doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did, because it's paid off. The music's great.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned like the punk rock. I can't even. We've done over 50 interviews now, and I would say 90% of them all came from that hard edge, some sort of punk or metal background, including myself. I was screaming at microphones in high school.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, in that whole scene, and
sure.
I don't know. Maybe I just got older and started maturing.
I think that's a big part of it. For me too. It's like you get older and it's a more refined way to get a message across and to kind of document it sounds kind of funny, but document your feelings, in a song. It's like instead of screaming about it, you're kind of, writing a song and putting it out there in that more mature way. So I think that was the thing that kind of attracted me to it. And I feel like I always tell people also that I feel like there's a correlation with like the emotion of punk rock or metal or like any kind of heavy music like that and country music, because I think there's a lot of emotion that goes into it.
Absolutely.
Into both those types of music, and they're all at the end, it all comes from the blues, all comes from that kind of core roots music stuff. So I think there's more similarities than differences.
Exactly.
And it's just hard to kind of separate them when you hear the screaming and then steel guitar or whatever, but it's there. I think it's there for sure.
I definitely think so too. Especially when like you start getting into some songs like say a soft spot for the hard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You get kind of almost a gritty. I wouldn't say you're yelling, but you like rip it out.
Yeah.
It has that punk rock edge to it, but it's a country song.
Sure.
So I love it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad you kick those habits. I mean, that is a hard. I've watched my whole family struggle with that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And that was kind of what helped me stay away from it too. So I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I've had a lot of that stuff in my family too. It's just
it's easy to fall into. I mean, it's everywhere.
It is, and like especially if you grow up, if you're like in a community where that's prevalent or where that's around a lot, that was kind of how it was where I grew up. Everybody, there's this culture, this kind of weird prison culture that, all our friends, older brothers would get in trouble, go to prison, come back, and then they teach us all the bad shit they learned, basically. And so there's this weird kind of, really kind of stoic, tough, like prison culture in the Santa Cruz area that kind of all the drugs and stuff just go with that, and it just kind of ties in with the punk rock stuff because a lot of those guys were all listening to Black Flag and bands like that, so it's this kind of weird culture that was out there. But yeah, I'm very glad that ended up getting away from all that and kicking it. It took me a long time, but meeting Jody was kind of one of the big turning points in my life, that kind of got me clean and got me away from all that stuff.
Yeah.
Gave me a reason to want to stay
exactly
off of it,
I've heard that more than once on this show as well, including myself saying it takes a good woman to straighten some of us guys out for sure.
It's so true, man. Yeah, it's
happens
cliche,
all the
but
time.
It is so true.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's great. Speaking of Jody, I love the cover you guys did.
Oh, thank you.
Billy and Jennings. I mean, you guys,
Well,
you
I
did it
appreciate
justice.
that.
A lot of people do covers, and it's like, yeah, you did it justice.
That means a lot, man. Thank you.
I really dig that one.
Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, we had fun with that one. That's one of our favorite songs.
Yeah.
Glad we got to cut it.
So, are you guys got new music coming out soon, like a full-on record?
Nothing on the immediate horizon, but we've got, I've got a lot of songs I'm always writing, and we've got, a lot of songs kind of just on the backlog, and kind of looking for the right situation. But we got some things planned for next year, so anybody listening, keep an eye out next year and an ear out as well. We'll have something.
Okay.
We'll have something for them.
Good. Yeah, I mean, every record out so far is a killer.
Thank you.
There's so many good ones. Like I was really digging. Like today at work, I sent you that picture of the mountain of fish.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna put some of the stuff on today and just kind of run it through. And the song "Gray."
Oh yeah.
That's a good song.
Thank you, man.
And it's like well written.
Appreciate
you got all the fun stuff too, the upbeat, all the stuff
Sure.
you want to dance to. It's a good mix. You got your serious stuff. Then you do songs in Spanish, like.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Bringing some of that flavor in from down from where you're from and stuff.
For sure, yeah, exactly, man. There's a lot of that. Kind of got exposed to that music growing up and wanted to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah,
it's fun, man.
That's cool.
Well, I appreciate that. We try to do, kind of a mixture of all those things, and for our live shows, we really pride ourselves in trying to bring like the best possible live experience to the people, give them their money's worth, and when I go see a band, and you feel like you're almost let down, like, oh, I didn't hear that song, or, I mean, stuff happens sometimes, somebody's having a bad night or whatever, but we try to just bring it every single night and do that, so it means a lot, man. Yeah, sometimes the sad ones like Gray, like I want to play those, but I'm like, I don't want to bring everybody down on this.
It's like everyone's having a good time, you got to bring them down.
Yep.
But that's what you can do. You can put them on that emotional roller coaster. You can bring them down. Next song, bang, blow it out.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you're on tour right now, obviously.
Yeah.
You got several dates worked out for the fall, or what's kind of the end goal on this run?
Yeah. We're we've been like all of last year and this year we've just been busy. It's just booked solid busy. And so for this year, we've already done the West Coast. We did the Western States twice, like up in some of the mountain areas. Done a lot of Texas, and then now we're heading up here, and this is kind of kicking off like a bunch of Midwest and Southern stuff that we're going to be doing. So we're going up to Toledo, Ohio tomorrow, and then we're going to be going back to Texas, and then we're coming back up to do a whole bunch of other stuff. We're going to Kansas, Missouri. We're going to all those states and kind of working our way through there. And then in September, I'm going to be joining American Aquarium for some support dates.
I did see that. And you'll be back here.
That's right.
At the Hi-Fi.
Yeah, the Hi-Fi, man. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
So that's kind of that. And then we're, gearing up. I think October we're going out to Virginia. We're doing a festival, the Virginia Folk Fest. Richmond Folk Fest, I think that's what it is.
Okay.
We're playing that out there. We're routing out that way. And right now we're doing that Mile Zero Fest.
That looks like a good one.
At the beginning of next year, so we're kind of working on it. To anybody wondering about East Coast dates, we're working on it right now. So we'll get out there.
That's great.
And I've been just looking at the calendar, trying to find some time to relax a little bit.
You
We've
guys
just been
stay
busy,
man.
man.
You definitely.
But
all those West Coast dates. Last year, my wife and I took a trip to Yellowstone and everywhere else.
Nice.
And we happened to go down into Jackson. Jackson Hole, and I looked up on the $1 Million Cowboy Bar.
Yeah.
And there was your name. I was like, oh, no way, they're in town?
That's
right. And I looked, and it was like, oh, you're the next, week.
Oh, no shit.
I was like, damn, we missed it.
Yeah, that was fun, man. It's beautiful up there. I love it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Beautiful part
Very
of the world.
Beautiful. So what I like to do is ask people on this show so the fans can kind of get to know you even better.
Yeah.
So outside of music, what do we like to do for fun? We see the pictures online. You love to fish, do some outdoorsy stuff.
Yeah, I like to do that stuff a lot. I love to fish. I was telling you, last few years I've got really into duck hunting. Got into that. So I love being outdoors. I love swimming. Pretty much anything that involves being outside. Jody and I both love to do. So we have a dog named Bandit. We love to, he's an old man. He's 14 years old. So we just take him down to the river, and he loves to swim and stuff. We hang out with him. We've got just a small property. We've got like a couple acres where we're at, and so just kind of maintaining that, and working on our house and stuff like that. I love to be home when we can, and kind of just making our place our little compound, our little castle to be at, when we're not out on the road. That's kind of what I enjoy doing these days the most.
That's great. When did you live in Texas now, right? So
yes. Yeah.
When did you make that transition from California?
Was October of 2019. We moved.
Okay.
We moved out there, and we had recorded "Rolling On," that record, that summer of 2019, and so we, kind of fell in love with the area. And Tommy Dedamore, who co-produced the record with me, and he did that whole album, kind of convinced us to move out to Texas. He was like, you guys belong out here, and this is a good place to be for you, also touring wise, because we can get up to the Midwest, West Coast, East Coast, and it's kind of centrally located. Sense. Exactly. So that coupled with the people are great, the culture of music is really prevalent there.
Yeah, just that Texas circuit right through there is great.
Oh yeah, exactly. And we found a good spot kind of right in between San Antonio and Austin that is just centrally located to everything, and still kind of out in the country a little bit, and we just loved it. We were like, what, this is the place to be for right now.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah. I have family around San Antonio.
Oh, really?
I don't know them very well, but I remember going down there as a kid and
once in a while,
middle school and that sort of thing. Then traveling through. I've been to Amarillo several times and pit stop there. Eat what's that the big steak place?
Oh, that is that like big Texan?
Big Texan steak.
yeah, man. We've been there. We played out there. Can't remember what place. It's an event center that we played out there. And it was really cool. But I had some steak out there. It was good, definitely.
Yeah, they have like a contest where if you can eat I forget how many ounces. It's huge.
It's obscene, man.
But
it's crazy.
It's free if you can eat it, but it's
That's right.
They don't tell you have to eat this side, and this side, and here's some bread too. Like, good luck.
Yeah.
But people do it. It's amazing.
That is nuts.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much.
Be on the lookout for next year.
Definitely.
Catch them on tour.
Yeah,
what else we got? Any last minute words?
No, I just appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here in Indianapolis. We're gonna have a good show tonight, and hope to see any listeners out there on the road. We'll be hitting it hard the rest of this year and next year. So hope to see you out there.